deep saturate within you, alive while we're away. Goodbye, good luck, I miss you. Remember me, Vissley.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Hole in the World, an actual play set in the world of The Invisible Sun by Monty Cook Games. I am your host slash GM slash producer slash apparently dog outside the window. Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino. I use he, him pronouns, and I am joined once again by my lovely cast members this fine Invisible Sunday. And I would love it if they would introduce themselves, starting with, once again, as per usual, Marcy.
I'm Marcy, aka Experimental Madness, which is still the username you can find me most places around the internet. And I am back, once again, playing Gabrielle, the iconoclastic, ardent apostate who hosts a choir.
Excellent. Moving down the overlay. Bill, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your character.
Hey everybody, my name is Bill, and I am playing Maurice Webb, a stalwart empath of the Order of Weavers who turns tales into reality.
Excellent. Moving across the overlay, Hopper, if you want to introduce yourself and your character.
Oh, hey, that's me. I'm Hopper. My pronouns are they, them. And I am currently playing Twigg, who is a mendicant, gallant apostate who heralds beginnings.
With a question mark at the end?
Yeah, a lot of question marks there. But specifically, I'm pretty sure that is in fact my character class. So.
You nailed it, I'm pretty sure, actually. And finally, last but not least, Marissa, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your character.
Hey folks, my name's Marissa. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an editor of books, TTRPGs, and video games who is the most critical of kittens, known by Critical Kitten most places on the internet. And I play Kiri von Hollingsworth, who is the first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an aromatic stoic who understands the words, guardian of Zaleska's grimoire, curator of King Nine's library, maven of mirrors, and now put together of a fabulous lady whose guise she's still wearing.
Excellent.
Reconstructor. Have some.
Some
class.
Reconstructor of elegant visages. How about that?
There you go. That's an epithet.
It's a threat. Okay. Guys, we'll go ahead and get started, but so if you are watching this, we are recording it in the past. We are pre-recording things and we are putting them out so that you guys have a continuous stream, but of fine Invisible Sun episodes of The Hole in the World to get to. However, it is worth noting that there is a strong possibility that you are watching this at a point where Monty Cook Games is running a crowdfunding operation on BackerKit to reprint the Black Cube of the Invisible Sun. So if that is not already imminent or already transpired, it is imminent. So check that out. If somehow this gets to you and that happened before, I hope you got a copy so you can at least enjoy the game the same way we do. But also, before I get too in the weeds on that stuff, a lot has happened, so I think a recap is in order. But for that, we need a little bit of our old classic music. So, when last we left our Vizsla, they had just finished removing the second of Her Elegance's features from the observatory of the Melodious Manor. Knowing that there must be a pattern here, they searched the remaining rooms of the manor, starting with the foyer that housed a statue of Her Elegance. With a quick investigation, Kiri determined that the statue was in fact the petrified form of the Lady of the Manor, the mistress paralyzed by mental imprisonment. Quickly spending some sorcery, Maurice and Gav were able to return both Her Elegance's eyes and mouth to her blank face, before looking to the rest of the estate for additional features. They first found a greenhouse that played on their senses. Led by Duncan's keen nose and disturbing mouth, each of the Vizsla discovered a separate enticement in this verdant garden. Kiri found a patch of God's tulips that triggered a memory of her sister Allegra, while Twigg encountered a sickly patch of plants from the Pale, one of which dropped ripened death seeds, and another that revealed to them the memory of their creation at the hands of King Nine himself. and gave them the nose of Her Elegance in so doing. Wandering towards a flower that seemed to project illusory images of family and comfort, Gabrielle also found Gafarian, the dial of the observatory orrery that Twigg animated. Confused by her disjointed memory, Kiri picked God's tulip before rejoining the rest of the group. Meanwhile, Maurice found a flower that smelled of turpentine, evoking a memory of the gray sun that melted into one from his previous life as a true spider, one in which he bore witness to the slaughter of true ants, leaving him confused as to what part he played in that conflict. Reuniting at the entrance of the garden, Gafarian angrily told them of the Vespertine agent that had infiltrated the manor, their witnessing of the Black Sun, a 10th sun on the path of suns, as well as Her Elegance's desperate ploy to keep herself from being locked inside her own mind. Armed with this knowledge, the Vizsla braved the auditorium, where they encountered a terrible discordant piano music that forced them to dance to an exhausting robotic choreography. Disrupting the tune with a rifle shot, Gabrielle cleared a path for Maurice, who realized that they would need to deliver a convincing performance to release Her Elegance's final feature. Maurice performed an impassioned monologue. "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears," and was rewarded with Her Elegance's final sense. So armed, the Vizsla returned to the foyer and with Gafarian's help and delivered to Her Elegance her remaining senses. However, this taxing process sapped the life force of Gafarian, but Twigg intervened, consuming a monolithic, confusing memory that pertained to the last days of the Black Sun. While the removal of the memory seemed to empower Gafarian, the act drained Twigg, permanently removing another of their anguish. With Her Elegance restored and Avenant waiting, the heart of the Melodious Manor stands before them. And that is where we're going to pick up. So, all of you have restored the form of Her Elegance. She is shaken. She's kind of fallen from this pose that she was in and kind of when she was petrified and has fallen to the floor, and I think at this point kind of collapsed from the sheer exhaustion of being in that pose for however many days. Any of you kind of realizing, having been around this place and around the Gold Sun for so long, is that change is absolutely essential to basically the lives of its inhabitants. And so being stuck in one position, in one form for so long must have been torture. And it's at this point, breathless, she's looking at all of you and your erstwhile companion, Gafarian, and I'm curious, what do you do?
I think Maurice offers a hand that is half helping hand and half handshake and says, "Maurice Webb, nice to meet you."
And she, I think, there's kind of this just state of, I think, a little bit of, I was going to say, I think relief, but also terror on her face as she says, "More Vizsla. I don't know whether or not to be relieved or even more concerned. How did you hear about this?"
We followed agents of the Vespertine here, who are still here, I believe. You mentioned Avenant?
Yes, a visitor. He's the Vespertine I've only heard whispered of. They exist?
Happy to tell you all about it at some other time. As far as we know, Avenant, whoever that is upstairs, and there are guests of yours, and he gestures back to the room, the dining room where they were, in some sort of state. And this is, this was part of your telescope. I'll let you introduce yourself.
And at which point she kind of looks quizzically at kind of like a part of my telescope and makes eye contact with this dial that has, become a person. And he bows and nods and says, Gafarian. And she, I think, is taking a moment to absorb this, is about to say something, and then looks back at you and says, wait, the Orients? What's happened to them?
The Orients?
Yes.
Are you talking about the Suns?
No, the Orients, the visiting dignitaries, my guests. What's become of them?
I think they're still here.
Well, that's a relief.
Is it?
They seemed frozen in some sort of, it didn't seem comfortable.
Oh.
I have a feeling that whatever spell is, been cast to keep you all in this place is probably not going to go away until we deal with the Vespertine agent.
I have a sense, and she's kind of, you feel like her reaching out, like she begins kind of trying to move her hands and gesture, and kind of her hands recoil. I can't feel the house, not nearly as well as I used to. And she looks up the stairs where that effulging light is. And she begins climbing them two at a time. Her dress is kind of metamorphosing and changing from a kind of long, bustled dress to more of like riding breeches as she begins bounding up. Also, you notice that like as she is moving, Kiri's form, that of Her Elegance, you start seeing those features now that they've been placed back changing as well, slowly but surely, but much more slowly than you might expect them to. What do you guys do?
I think Kiri is sort of like, as soon as Her Elegance like decides to start booking it up the stairs. Wait, Your Elegance, hang on a moment. I think she like goes to sort of like pick up her train, thinking that like her dress, she will fall on her face down the stairs if someone does not pull the train. But of course, then Kiri finds like the train kind of disappears, shifts into something else entirely, like in her hands, and then suddenly isn't there anymore. But yeah, I think Kiri goes after her for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Do the rest of you guys follow suit?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think Twigg gives like a little shrug at Maurice. And for the record, I rolled 4 d10s to see whether or not my armor's still up, and it is still kicking, baby.
Excellent.
Which is relevant because it does heal all my allies within short range every round.
Excellent. Okay, so you guys are in excellent shape. Kind of like whatever kind of wounds or anguish that you had been experiencing up to this point, you have been slowly kind of patched over by this armor of reality that has basically kind of been empowering Twigg. Twigg is still looking pretty rough. Like, I think there's just, describe what this looks like. Do you look stricken? What is having one anguish left do?
I think Twigg looks very, almost like looks wooden in a way. Like their natural movement feels very very stilted and slow, and they seem very suppressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And while also kind of affected by the malaise that's kind of suffusing this place, you realize that, as a consequence, you just are moving so sluggishly. I will say that Maurice, you notice this and you realize that if you hadn't invoked your secret soul, you would still be suffering from whatever is also afflicting Twigg.
Maurice is just keeping pace with Twigg as if Twigg is not moving slowly at all.
Okay, good. And finally, Kiri, as you kind of get to the top of the stairs, You see, again, Her Elegance is kind of throwing out these gestures in front of a massive door that is at odds with the rest of the house. So in this case, like, you see all of the decorative elements of the house slowly shifting, these kind of curvilinear, organic, sometimes Rococo, sometimes Art Nouveau, kind of shifting motifs around. But there's one immutable thing in this space now, which is this massive black door. It is just a standard paneled wood door that seems to have been almost thrown over like an barrier into this very kind of elegant space. It just stands out like a tacky sore thumb. And she is working as hard as she can, magic, in order to try to pull it open, and she is struggling. What do you guys do?
I think Kiri, catching up to Her Elegance, a little maybe winded, says, hang on one moment before we go charging into a situation we might not understand. It might behoove us to take a moment and strategize.
Maurice sheds a single tear. It's the most beautiful thing he's ever heard.
Yeah, and she looks back to you, but there's something amiss, something is wrong behind there. And she... Actually, go ahead and make me an interaction roll now that I think about it. See if you can kind of dissuade her from trying to pour more effort into this.
Absolutely. That's a 7.
Okay. I will say on a 7, she looks back at you and there's just this moment where she kind of reluctantly stops and looks at you and says, well, what do all of you propose then? The longer we wait, the more problematic this will become.
Is there a way to see what's inside without letting the potential agent know?
She thinks. She stops and looks. And she's going to turn a card. Ooh, this is another good one. This is a good start. The Endless Maze. Journey. Long spans of time, insanity, and inner turmoil. So, a journey or task takes much longer than expected. An NPC feels decision or even starts to go mad. She had a map, but it would still be a long journey fraught with peril. So, she takes one look at the door, and she attempts to kind of like... You realize that she's extending her senses throughout the house, trying to find ways in, or a way to kind of look. And then there's just this crestfallen look on her face as she looks back at you all and says, he's hijacked the senses of this place. He knows that you're coming. I don't have any control here, but he also seems busy, distracted by something. But he's in the grand receiving hall just through those doors. Whatever it is, he's taking his time.
Maurice, walks forward and kind of scratches his beard, and while looking at the door, says, can you tell me more about when he came here? What is it you last remember before you were frozen?
Well, I was in my garden, and I was admiring one of my favorite flowers from the blue, and I just felt this tap on my shoulder, and as I turned, a hand placed on my face. I could see his smile widen and turn to encompass his whole head. This visitor, he had been so charming. Whatever he did, it put me into this state that you found me in, but I was able to cast my senses out, as I still have some connection to the house, albeit not as strong. And this kind of echoes what you guys remember feeling when you kind of were determining the state of the house. The house is very much alive, and is also a part of her, as she is a part of it. And something was very much amiss. So this is kind of like gelling with what you've learned. However, the thing that you didn't hear about is, as she kind of like begins to explain more, is Gafarian kind of chimes in and says, he seemed particularly interested in learning more of the Black Sun. And Her Elegance kind of looks to Gafarian and takes a moment. There's just kind of like a pause, but there's nothing to learn. And Gafarian, he seemed very eager and enthusiastic, maybe desperate to learn more. And there is kind of, again, that sense of urgency that crosses her expression.
So this is your door, and you can't open it.
Not without maybe some significant help.
Mm.
And
What do you need?
I need someone to act as a key, a conduit. She kind of starts looking amongst you and just says, which of you has... I feel a draining presence in this place. Is there any of you that hasn't been affected or has overcome it?
I have.
Very well. And she kind of looks at you and says, have you had any experience with anything like this, opening a door or...
Opening a door? Well, normally I open it, but as this house, well, it's a bit different. I'm assuming it takes a bit more than just turning a doorknob.
There's something as she looks at you, and she looks at that seed that's circling in the middle of your halo, and there is kind of like a look of apprehension but also familiarity, and she says, very well, come with me. And she looks to you and says, now I'm going to, and she grips your hand in hers. Now place a hand on the door. This may hurt. And as you kind of touch the door, there is this kind of dread that washes over you, this kind of feeling of terror. And I need you to make a withstand roll of 6.
Oh, 6.
Excellent. And that moment quickly passes as there is something, as she kind of, you place your hand on this door, there's something instinctual in you when you touch it. And something that kind of almost feels innate to you about the opening of doors, the opening of portals, of paths. And as he grips your hand, you feel a surge that travels down the length of your arm, through your chest, through this halo. Any of you taking a look at this door, it seems to be kind of effulging this spreading dark. And what happens as you watch this kind of golden energy move through Gabrielle, there is a flare from her chest as her back to you, this golden light kind of washes and bathes the door, and then travels from her chest back to the hand that is reaching and contacting this door. And you feel something. You feel a connection. You remember as Mott meeting your mother, General Kazan, and you remember her ability to open a door to the actuality, to find a path wherever one may lead you, and to discover kind of the rest of reality awaiting. And there's just something that flares in your chest as you touch it. And describe for me kind of like that connection, that feeling as you watch this door melt into a form that you choose for it.
Okay. I actually think what happens here instantaneously, if I may, Eye of Amanus is cast as that is going through, and Gab takes on her Airbast form. Feathers seem like the feathers of her hair all go up, and then as it just starts to, with the golden light, fuse most of her body. She grows in size, and as that light travels through her out to the hand that's holding onto the door also bursts into multicolored feathers.
Excellent. I will say this. All of you kind of see this transpire. Kiri, there's just a momentary tightness in your chest as whatever this kind of flare of magic does, it feels almost like an echo. And Gabrielle, as you kind of change the door and it melts into the shape of your choosing, you feel it's almost just like this magical burn. It is not a searing pain, but you feel almost as if the seed contained by that halo is growing hot, but not uncomfortably so. It's just like a warmth that spreads through your form. And this door of feathers, all of the feathers fall off of it, as you see the entry of a darkened, vast parlor. But you sense at the same time that, whatever this kind of darkness is, it seems to be kind of artificially induced as you see a clear kind of path forward. I am going to turn a card since you cast Eye of Amanus.
That was the last of my sorcery. Oh, sorry, that was the last of my sorcery.
Yeah, no, I heard you. Fleeting moment, lost time, elusiveness, agility, and reaction. Time moves inexorably forward. Sometimes it moves so quickly that we lose track of it. We try to watch, we try to pay attention, and yet it's gone. Something strange happens with time, or the perception of time. An NPC escapes from confinement. An elusive figure, perhaps a spirit or a legendary beast, makes a brief appearance. Blink and it's gone, a moment too quick to perceive, but your whole life is made of such moments. As you open this pathway, you just feel Her Elegance's grip on you weaken as she again kind of falls and kind of collapses to her knees. You get the sense that whatever you just did was all her reserve. As the dial, Gaffarian kind of quickly catches her before she hits her head. He looks to all of you and says, I believe your quarry is in there.
I have a question. With the darkness, you said it's magical.
You see through it.
I can see through it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I will tell you what you see. However, it's basically you are still kind of outside of the room. You can see from where you stand a vast kind of large parlor room with many sections, a chamber, a number of shredded books and texts and pages are littering the ground. A few of them kind of almost flutter past the threshold of the entry. And that is kind of what you can see from where you are. In order to gain more insight, you will all have to move forward. All right. Is anybody taking any additional actions here?
I would like to. I have a cantrip called Finger Flame, to light a match. I'd like to boost it with a weave to make it so that it is providing light enough for myself and my companions to see. I believe that's a level 2 to see in the dark.
Excellent. Okay.
So I'll weave that with heart and wind. Oh no, wind is flame, so can't do that.
Oh no. Well, do you have? Is there anything with the storm that you can use?
Let's see. No.
Okay.
So I've got a little finger flame, and I'm like, well, I don't think this is going to do it all.
So I will tell you, I think this is a really neat idea, so I want to support this. I think what I will say is maybe you can attempt to use the wind as if to blow the path clear.
Oh, that's very generous of you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'll roll. What am I looking for?
You are looking for, on 2 dice, and you roll 2 dice for your weave, at least 2 on each.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, no, 10's bad. So
10?
I got a 9 and a 0.
Okay, I will give you a mixed success because a 9 is pretty good. Is the 0 the magic
0
die?
is the magical die.
Oh boy. Okay, flux. I will tell you this. As this wind kind of washes over all of you, the darkness kind of, it is a reassuring wind. Actually, describe for us what this kind of feels like for everybody within, I'd say about 5 feet of you.
I think what happens is he pulls out the finger flame and says, oh, that won't do. And then as he goes to blow it out, like halfway through blowing it out, he gets an idea. So he blows out the flame on his finger, and then the smoke that would happen from like a candle, that very kind of thick, visible smoke, kind of pushes away the darkness like sweeping a broom.
And as it swirls, you begin hearing whispers in the dark. In fact, I think we need something a little bit more ominous. One moment. And the whispers, you realize, are frantic voices crying out in almost like whispered screams. Just, listen, what do you want? Why are you doing this? Please help. Why can't I move my legs? Why can't I move at all? Please, you're hurting me. And all of you kind of like as you were walking through, are kind of cloistered around Maurice, you just hear these voices. And you realize that these are the last thoughts that those catatonic guests, the Aureates, had before falling into whatever malaise or state they had. How are you guys proceeding?
I think before entering the room, Kiri would have touched Gafarian lightly on the shoulder and said, noting that she still is wearing the guise of the lady and noting the lady's current weakness, you stay with her. I can manage. I can take her position she gestures to herself.
And
the magic is already done.
Gafarian looks at you and says, see that is not necessary. And he nods and then kind of gestures towards that darkening hallway.
I think Kiri will also cast her Chesnora's glass skin spell.
Mm-hmm.
My flesh becomes mirrored. I gain +1 to defense against magic and total immunity to unwanted minor magic and minor flux effects. Any mundane damage I suffer is increased by 1. Depletion 0 to 2, check each hour, color invisible, level 3.
Okay. As you do this, and I'm going to turn a couple of cards here. One for... Ooh. So, I believe the first one was for that wind, and this is actually fairly appropriate. I drew the Devil, which is the nemesis of secrets, ravens, books, and flame. Lies, charm, persuasion, words. An NPC believes... A devil literally gets involved with the narrative. A charming NPC uses their persuasive powers for good or ill. He sits there staring, and while you might wander, you do not want to know what he's thinking. I will say that, that those whispers, those words, as they kind of surface all through your hearing, it's the sounds of people that were trusting and the people that, believed themselves basically incapable of being harmed in this place. However, for the second card, I drew the Monarch, which is the sovereign of notions, cats, clocks, and wind. Authority, judgment, the land and the world. A ruler or authority figure becomes involved in the matter at hand. Someone passes judgment. Someone travels between worlds or suns. My words shall dictate your actions regardless of the choices you make. You sense, as you put on this glass skin, there is a feeling that you see when you look at Gafarian's face and his expression. It's more of like a feeling as it kind of passes through this dial. You get the sense that almost like a flicker of recognition, or a flicker of almost like there you are, as you have cast this spell and mirrored your skin. Like he realizes finally, oh, this is your form when you are not taking on that of Her Elegance.
Yeah, I think like the way it's, because she's of course maintaining the form of Her Elegance, but I think that when she applies this glass skin, mirrored skin, there's sort of a flicker, right, of like, as the form sort of shifts from Her Elegance to Her Elegance wearing mirrors, like you see Kiri in between. There's sort of a shift. And yeah, I think like Kiri registers that Gafarian has noticed this, and she sort of shoots him a question with her eyes, but everyone is already moving forward. But she notices that he's noticed.
Exactly. All right. All of you, I presume, move into the room.
Yeah, Twigg's got Fortinbras in hands. And here's a question: Does my armor affect the reflections at all?
In what way?
Well, the ability is called We Start at the Beginning, and it's raw creation magic. And I'm just wondering if all the reflections off that armor, I'm picturing like the smoke kind of comes in contact with this kind of aura of creation, like turns into tiny little monsters and ships and people just like walking through a short distance before dissipating. But and then I was like, ooh, does this interact with the reflections in Kiri's armor?
Well, I love this idea. I think that's super neat. Tell me, what do you think Twigg's original spirit form looked like? Let's put it that way.
Ooh, that's an upsetting concept. I regret asking anything.
You ask a question, I answer with a question. That's how this works.
Kind of a roiling, churning mass of like vines and plant growth, like just the constant movement, like almost like the spirit of kudzu. But with thorns and animals and all sorts of other creatures kind of blended into this mass that's only purpose was to just kind of be as much as it could be.
Oh, absolutely. I will say that, as you kind of walk forward, there is just, I think that obviously, Kiri, you can't see this, and I actually don't know if anybody else can see this other than you. And it is, I will say this, because I drew the monarch, this is a peek at the machinery of the world. Basically how things run, and you are perceiving an elemental spirit of the night side. You have essentially, in several times on this journey, peeked behind the curtain at a few things much larger than yourself.
And tried to eat them.
And tried to eat them. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
It was pointed out that the seed of truth probably sees everything as well.
I will say this.
Let's stir the pot, baby.
Okay, well, in that case, Gabrielle, do you get the sense that... Well, I will tell you this. In this case, this is verified fact. Gabrielle, do you want your focus on what's moving forward, or do you kind of shift a look to your compatriots?
So in the Eye of Amanus form, if we're actually now moving into the darkness, in this form, so it is a spell that is, ironically enough, it relies on the color gold, and it is a facet of the dark. And with the Seed of Truth, I can see through magical illusions. Walking into this darkness, is it dark for me?
It is not. I will say for everybody else, this is 5 feet. I will say that because you're focusing on the area ahead, you don't necessarily see what is going on with Twigg. I will say that because, Kiri, your seed is inner truth, you do not kind of also perceive this exterior, kind of this melding of form. So in this way, some of this kind of mystery is still known only to you, Twigg. I will say, Gabrielle, as you're moving forward, what everybody can see 5 feet past Maurice, you can see within the field of your vision. And there are a few things that immediately come to mind. However, as you're kind of keeping your head on a swivel, I need you to roll perception. Everybody else who would like to can do so, but you will have -2 to the roll. However, remember, because the sovereign is up, it's +1 if it is not your family. It's +2 if it is your family.
Yes.
I'm going to say that Maurice is currently whispering admonishingly to Duncan to stay close, and is kind of flitting his eyes back and forth between his 3 friends, trying not to lose them to the darkness.
There's absolutely kind of like a quiet whimper from Duncan, who just is remaining as quiet, but also is practically almost tripping you underfoot by staying so close to you. Yeah. How did everybody do?
9.
9? Okay. So, on a 9, there are a few things that immediately catch your attention, which is, I will outline for you momentarily.
Oh, what's the target?
This is more of like roll and let's see what you get.
But stealth or?
If you're moving stealthily, roll movement for me. In fact, this will go for anybody who also wants to follow that lead. But while you are doing that, Gabrielle, there's a few things with a 9 that you notice. 1, 6, okay. All right, 9, and then okay. So, with the first thing you notice is the smell. The smell of this place, it's stale and it's acrid. It reminds you of the smell of like caustic chemicals. And not only that, but as it kind of suffuses your nostrils, the next thing that catches your attention is like the smell of wood rot. Just as you see all of these kind of pages spoiled, their ink kind of smeared and kind of fetid with water that has gone gravid and, pretty moldy and mildewed. The next thing you notice is as you kind of like taste the air, there's a copper, almost blood-like taste and tinge at the edge of your tongue. And as you are kind of realizing that this place has seen bloodshed, or at the very least, it kind of like suffuses this area, you begin hearing the susurrus of a quiet conversation between two voices, one of which is a sharp staccato, and the other is quiet and even. And as you move forward, seeing through this magical darkness, all of you also notice that there are some distance away from you is a standing form, and there is a bright filament of light, which you realize are 4 threads of magic that are rising from 4 forms prostrate on the ground. And this filament is traveling into what looks like a reflective surface just past the standing figure. And that filament is kind of going through this surface, and at the same time, that conversation, you manage to catch a few bits of it. So, I would make haste if I were you. There's only a few bits left that we need. Yes, this 4. It shouldn't take long now, but I believe I have guests. Deal with them if you would. And as you kind of get closer, Gabrielle, you see another form in what looks like this glass reflective surface through which the filament of light, which you realize is now magic, is traveling. And the form kind of steps back and folds its arms as the other form turns to face all of you. Ah, Visley. This should be fairly interesting indeed. Brave to get this far, but not much further will you go. And we're going to move into action mode as Avenant the Fervent turns to face all of you. And I need to change the music.
Action mode. Action mode.
All right, we are moving into action mode. You are now facing off against this figure. I am going to, because you guys managed to have your sovereign up, I will say that he didn't get the drop on you, and I will say that I will let you, because your sovereign is up, I will let one of you go first.
That's good, because I would really, really, really like to do Clever Girl style lunge directly past whatever magic he thinks is going to throw me off, and full-blown leap into the air, claws extended, and just sort of take this dude to the ground with me.
Excellent. Go ahead and remind me, what is the level of your Eye of Amana spell?
It's 3.
It's 3? Okay. You are going to need 2 successes in order to strike this figure.
I do have sword of up still, so I can.
Excellent. I need you to roll 2 dice. You need to get a 3 on each.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's a 7 on the magic dice, and the color is fading off of this one. I think that's a 4.
Okay.
Some of the paint's dripping.
Tell me how much damage this does.
It does 5 points of damage. Let me just double check that real quick. Yes, with my other abilities up, it is 5. Get a bonus to 2.
You pounce on this figure, and you bring him to the ground, and you dig in. You realize that your claws have found purchase.
And I just roar.
At which point, the figure, as it's his turn next, looks up at you and says, "Very impressive. Very foolhardy." And now that you are this close to him, you see that his face is almost like a Picasso painting in that it seems to shift and be crooked in places. However, the one thing that is just distractingly like the first part that you notice most of all is this massive smile that extends from ear to ear. And his jaw, his teeth show this massive smile, and then the mouth opens from the side. And what it's going to do is it's going to try to wrap and consume you. So I need...
Oh, I didn't realize we were flirting.
Avenant the Fervent is going to... Oh, you like this? Okay.
No, that was Marcy asking. Gav is certainly not flirting.
Okay, you have managed to do some damage to him. However, he is going to attempt to bite into you. I need you to roll to dodge out of the way. Again, you are going to need 2 successes.
Okay, how much sword of do I have still? I think I have 1 more left. Let me double check.
Okay. So
Yes. Okay.
All right. Do you have any dodge with you?
I always forget if I have. I don't have dodge. No, I have resistance.
Okay. All right. So I will tell you this: you are going to need a 6 on both dice. However, with the sovereign, if it is your sovereign, you get +2. Otherwise,
It is my sovereign.
So you get 2. So roll 4 twice.
Could be a little bit. I got to replace it. So, okay. Woo! Thank God for the... Okay, 9 on the magic dice, which would make that an 11.
Mm-hmm.
Regular dice, rolled a 2, but it will be 4.
Okay. All right. All right. So it will be... The regular dice rolled a 2?
Yes, but with my sovereign up, it's 4.
Okay. So you needed to get a 4 on both dice.
Like exactly a 4 or higher than a 4?
Higher than 4 or higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we're good.
No, not 4 total. 4 on the... So for 6 total. Sorry.
What?
Okay.
2 plus 2 is 4. You needed 6.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. So what ends up happening is you manage to miss one side of this bite. However, the other side latches on. And it is going to do 3 points of damage to you. So 1 wound. You can spend a physicality to try to negate it. And however, the opposite side of this is you are latched onto this figure now that it's kind of bitten you into the side. You feel almost the teeth grip the side of your face, and you see something shift in the figure. As its face grows feathers, and its form grows more avian and raptor-like. And you
Oh, it's Kirby.
Yeah, you realize that something has changed in this form. And now we're going to...
Dark Kirby!
We are going...
Forbidden Kirby!
The forbidden Kirby. Who would like to go next in the round?
I can go.
Okay. What do you do here?
I think is the light staying in a radius around me. Am I understanding that correctly?
It is, and you have just seen Gabrielle charge about 10 to 15 feet forward as if to pounce on this figure.
So Maurice is going to run forward, and he hisses at Duncan to stay. And he runs forward and attempts to... So tell me, the one side of the mouth is on, but the other side is open?
Yeah, it's kind of like flared open as you see this figure, and you see Gav's Arabast form kind of leapt onto this thing, and you see this form as bone cracks and like limbs reshape and skin shifts. And you realize that this thing is kind of imitating her or taking on some of her qualities.
Do I get the sense that I would be more helpful trying to free her from the current mouth grasp or preventing the second half to clamp down? Like, which do I think is better?
You get the sense that if she is not loosed from this grasp, like it's going to open her up for additional attacks.
So I'm going to attempt to free her from the mouth, but I want to also like be painting the target with my halo of light, right? So positioning myself maybe suboptimally for the physical task in order to light up for maybe a Fortinbras.
Okay, excellent. I will tell you this. I'd say that this is a pretty difficult action because what's going to happen is you are in so doing, I think you might be opening. Are you kind of like you're getting close to that other half of the jaw, right? So I think that this thing might latch out and try to like grab a piece of you too, as you try to like liberate her. Again, this is going to be 2 6s that you need.
And then this meaning it's so difficult that if I don't spend a sortilege, I have 0 chance of doing it.
I will say that you might get mixed results if you only roll 1 die, because this creature is like inherently magical and its form is shifting.
Okay, so I'm going to spend 3 physicality mene as well as a sortilege to give me 2 dice.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh boy.
All right.
I got a total of 5 and a 7. There was a 2 and a 4 on both of the dice.
You describe what it looks like as you pull Gabrielle off of this creature.
I think Maurice, like, in the way, you know how dad hands are pretty tough. So Maurice, like, just kind of puts his fingers in the mouth, like you're getting something out of the mouth of a dog. Like, come on, and he pulls it open in a feat of strength that it does not look like he could heretofore perform. But is hanging out danger close.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that is interesting to the grip is it's almost as though you have extra hands like latching this thing open, even though you can only see 2. It feels, again, familiar and strange, as if your body remembers like muscle memory and capabilities that you don't have anymore. But you manage to pull Gabrielle free, and this thing begins to rise and shrieks in a familiar fashion as it sounds a roar not unlike Gabrielle's own. Who's next?
Is it true that we heard Avenant talking to someone else? That there was sort of a second figure?
Yes.
I am interested in that.
I will tell you this. Gabrielle heard that, but at the same time, I think that you may have heard just like this baseline susurrus underneath the whispers and the screams. And as Maurice has moved forward, you see more of kind of what is at stake in this radius. I will tell you that on the floor in front of him, just past where Maurice is, you see this kind of almost like this ostentatious but kind of like darkly lacquered mirror through which a filament of light is traveling, and you see a standing form with arms folded watching things transpire. But on the ground in front of you, you also notice these strange forms of creatures with black, inky skin that seems to slowly shift and move with some kind of features of animals, objects, people kind of interspersed throughout their forms. And you realize that you are looking at a bunch of unconscious Elderbrin. So this is what you see as you're kind of going into this. And from their bodies is these 4 separate filaments of life traveling. I'm giving you the full picture so you can make a decision.
Yeah, I think Kiri, seeing that both Gav and Maurice have kind of charged into the fray, Kiri is going to opt for the other course of action, which is to totally stealth, to try to get around to that mirror, see what's going on, what it's doing, and disable it if necessary.
Okay. Remind me what you rolled on your stealth. I know that Twigg rolled 6.
I rolled 7.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I will say with a 7, his hands are full right now, so I think you will able to fairly easily do this. What are you trying to like grasp or learn?
So how this mirror is sort of functioning, 1. 2, who is this figure? Do I recognize them? Have we seen them before?
Okay.
And what are they, like, things about them, like, that I might know, what they're wearing, what that signifies?
I will let you answer one of these things. Okay. Roll me perception.
Absolutely. And I will add a bene into that.
Mm-hmm.
Aha. That is a 6.
Okay.
No, actually +1, so a 7.
All right. So which do you want to answer?
All right. The figure. The figure has arms crossed, watching.
You see a very familiar figure. As the last time you encountered him, he was trying to take from you the grimoire that formerly belonged to Zaleska. And you see the smirking form that you also saw in the war report. Oh wait, you didn't see him. But you do recognize the form of another Vance, elegantly dressed. Marlowe looks at you and says, "Well, hello again, little Vance. Have you come to return the grimoire to me?"
No, actually. I've come to find out what you're doing here, and to stop you.
You should return the grimoire to me. And you feel almost this this magic attempt to invade your mind, to force a course of action, and you feel it just repel off of your mind as the seed flares inside of you. And then his eyes incline downwards as that effulgent light kind of surfaces and is indigo in color. And he looks at you and says, "Interesting. Very, very interesting." And again, that smirk just crosses the rest of his face. Twigg, you're up.
Yeah, Twig's, I think, kind of been moving slowly. It's and what can I actually see?
It depends. Are you running forward to join Maurice as you are kind of left in darkness here? Or?
I was trying to be sneaky.
Oh, okay. Well, I will tell you this.
I emphasis on try. It was a 6 total.
It was a 6 total. I will say that it definitely beats the perception of this creature. This, agent of the Vespertine. But you are in darkness. You are kind of like surrounded by the shrill kind of cries and screams of these former victims. I think it's going to be like distracting, but what are you trying to accomplish?
Really quickly for my benefication, how much are we adding from the sovereign?
The sovereign, if it's your family, you get +2.
I don't think it is.
If you do not, it's +1.
Okay, so that was actually a 7 on the stealth.
Cool. All right.
I forgot to add that. I just really, I'm like trying to remember all the things I need to add together.
Yeah, you're fine. In that case, so what are you trying to do? Because you sense that there is a tumult in the air in front of you, and you see that light travel forward. It is now kind of like dim in your vision. So you can either try to keep pace and keep in the light, or you can do something else. What are you trying to do?
I think Twigg watched Gav run and yeet into the so we're not going to shoot or chuck magic in there. They've barely repaired any semblance of civility that they have with Gav, and firing blindly into the darkness feels like a wild card move that is not appropriate at this time.
You know what we call that?
I did expressly move into this melee to light it up and paint a target for you.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay. So you've created a situation where I can see from the darkness. Then I'm gonna rogue. I'm a roguey thing.
Yeah, Dad also pulled me off of this poor sucker that I was trying to maul.
I opened the mouth, got out the foreign object, and then squatted and covered my ears.
Fire in the hole!
Yeah. Twigg's just gonna be like, Twigg's just gonna raise Fortinbras. Then I feel like this is a fairly simple. Sometimes you just gotta cast gun. And sometimes that gun is
Bury this, you fucking casual.
Sometimes that gun is your weird cowboy son, uncle, dad that you. I don't know.
No, keep going. I want to hear more.
You want to take that again?
I will say this: you level Fortinbras at the target, and you just hear, "Oh, this is my favorite part."
I love them so much.
Hey, you might say this is where the fun begins.
Oh, this is where the fun begins. It
Thank
ends, and it continues. All right, so.
Okay. I'm trying to do mental math. I think, so plus 5, +1 dice, 6 damage. Then I feel like this is a pale seed moment.
Okay.
I think I'm down to 3.
Okay.
Let me double check that though. So I am rolling. I don't know what that fucking says. Oh, it's a slightly chipped 6.
Okay.
It's a slightly chipped 6, and so that's 11 plus 1 is 12 plus. Okay, so that's a 12 on one dice and an 8 on the other.
Excellent.
And I don't remember. Oh, I have 4 pale seeds. I don't remember what the pale seeds do.
So
how much they add?
I believe a pale seed adds 3 damage typically.
Oh wait, that's right. I have that saved in my secrets. Me.
Have Telepathic Strike.
I do as well.
I think that'll be active too.
They inflict +3 damage. So right now, for math, baby, we're at 9 before Telepathic Strike.
So 11 points of damage here.
Let me double check because I also forgot that I also have medium ranged 4, so I'm actually at 16 and
that I don't
11 to hit.
Okay, 16 and 11.
No, that's already added in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I need to make a flow chart.
I'm gonna say, what was that? I think that with Telepathic Strike and a Pale Seed, you are doing a combined total of 9 damage. unless there is like other fuckery involved. I'm not familiar with here.
I'm trying to make sure I'm not. It's been a while since I shot anything. So I'm like trying to make sure I didn't forget anything.
Usually that's a good thing, but in this game,
Yeah, I think we're good to go. I don't think there's anything else. I had a flowchart for Ogress, and I apparently need to make one for Twig as well.
okay. I will say this: your shot finds purchase on this thing. It seems to do a little bit less damage than you would think, as there is just something about this form that it has kind of taken on through Gabrielle that seems to kind of give it this almost imperviousness or this hardiness that the figure didn't have before. So I will say this, though, between the two of you attacking it, you have hurt it and pissed it off. Which is good, which is not typically good, but it will be Gabrielle's turn before it gets a chance to act again.
You don't say.
Thanks for coming to my math TED Talk.
Oh God, listen, I know how bad it is. What can I do? Can you remind me, to refresh a pool, what do I need to do for that?
You can spend one of your actions, but that will be an action for your turn.
I think I have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do? Since you just hit it for massive damage, Hopper, I feel better about doing this. So Dad pulled me, fished me out of the creature's mouth. I'm going to say, growling and snarling in my gigantic Immanus form. I'm going to sort of shake my feathers, and that little shake is going to refresh my sorcery.
Excellent. I will.
So I can, cause havoc next time.
I will say this, because you have done this, you will lose your grip on this creature. That's the cost benefit.
You know what? I'm gonna take it.
Okay.
Because it's either I can just claw him for a base of 3 damage now, or I could start doing some crazier shit in a minute.
Okay. This was very important because this is a mechanic.
Yeah.
Liberated from your grasp, reeling from the shot, it steps towards one of the prostrate Elderbrin. Its distended jaw picks up one of these forms and drops it down its gullet and consumes it.
Wait, hang on.
I'm sorry, you made the choice. At which point you see some of its wounds heal over.
I see what's going on here.
And its form shifts again. And in this form, you see as some of its, where it has been wounded, it begins to bleed, and the oil that comes out of the wound is this thick, black Icarus oil, and you see a wreath of flames begin to coalesce all over its skin, and where the flame impacts the oil, it lights up.
Oh, she on fire now.
Yeah. Bill, or
he
not
on
Bill,
fire, whatever.
Maurice, you're up.
Maurice, seeing that his light source is no longer needed, uses what is it? The invocations. What are those called? The things that we get for free?
Yeah, this is cantrip, I believe. Incantation, ephemera. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so he's got one called She Quivers Awaiting Fulfillment of Prophecy.
Okay.
A 6-inch hole harmlessly appears in your torso, and within that hole is a spider's web with a spider in the middle of it.
Oh.
The spider leaps from this position to any spot within long range, spinning a web strand as it does. You can then command the spider to pull you quickly to that spot, which requires no action on your part. This enables you to move to places you couldn't normally reach, or just move a long distance while performing another action.
Mm-hmm.
Once you and the spider are together again, you can have it leap again on the next round. When the effect ends, your body returns to normal depletion 0, color green. Skedaddle out of there. Yoink!
Yeah.
For the record, I definitely thought you said leak at first, and it was way worse than leap.
The spider leaks. Sorry.
Sorry. So because you played an ephemera, I drew a card. And I drew the Jackal, which is the nemesis of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. Meanings are intimidation, power, ruthlessness, dark magic, and necromancy, which is very much in play here. The Jackal bides his time, waiting to escort us into death personally. So as the spider leaps, you just hear in that kind of like unique language of the spider's whisper, you hear, "My liege, let's get you the fuck out of here, boy." And leaps and then pulls you to where you want to go. You now kind of like extricate yourself from this creature, which is now on fire and bleeding oil.
I'll say that what could I see from where right before I choose where the spider goes to? What can I see? Is it I'm just kind of blinded by this flaming creature in front of me?
I will say, like, it lights up so much of the darkness that you now see that all around you are littered like detritus and like ruined furniture, as well as like, you know, torn open books and bookshelves. There are these kind of like just Icarus chemicals and seemingly kind of just fluids just spread kind of throughout the this what had formerly been a very ostentatious drawing parlor. And at this point, the only things you see are the 3 Elderbryn lying down next to the form, but you can easily find furniture or another darkened corner of this place to be.
So if I see the Elderbryn and the other figure,
mm-hmm.
I'll get myself over to there.
Okay, cool. So I was going to say, if you were going to try to be Overwatch over the Elderbryn, it will still be getting you very close to this figure, but just outside of claw reach. Okay?
Sorry, which creature are we talking about?
The Fervent, Avenant.
Okay, so I can't see like where Kiri's at with the other figure.
I will say with the light, you can see that she is looking into what looks like kind of like a standing mirror, but there is a figure that you see reflecting back towards you, which I think you will have to get closer in order to recognize.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Basically, my 2 choices are retreat or move further in, and I'm gonna move further in.
Cool. Okay. Kiri, you're up. You literally, I will say this, you now see the fire kind of alight, and one of those Elderbryn bodies is no longer on the ground. You now see Marlowe kind of again smirking almost haughtily gloating over you. What do you do next?
My goal is to keep him distracted, keep him talking, but also to like use that time to figure out what's happening with this mirror situation
Mm-hmm.
and how I might be able to disable it. So I think she's trying to balance those 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't want Marlowe to kind of like notice what she's doing, but equally, and she wants to like play on his hubris a little bit. I think that he thinks he's got the situation completely in hand while she investigates the mirror further.
Okay, I'll tell you this. This is going to be 2 roles. This is going to be an interaction role to see how well you can kind of mask this. The other role, however, is going to be basically intellect. You are trying to decipher how this kind of magical umbilicus is working. All right? Cool. Just roll and tell me what you get. I think with the magic, this feels more in your wheelhouse. So this is going to be about a 5 difficulty. To keep him distracted, you are going to have to hit a 9 or above.
Okay. Am I rolling 2 die or just 1?
1 die for each, I will say.
Okay. All right. Cool. That is a 7 and a 6.
Okay, so on the 7 die for the kind of like the understanding of what's going on in your immediate area, that magical umbilicus, you get the sense that whatever is kind of like it's doing, it's acting as a siphon. It's kind of taking something away from the Elderbrin that are lying down, and it's, transporting it through this glass surface. I will say also, there's a couple of things here, which is that surface leads someplace. There is a very different looking chamber behind Marlowe in which he is standing. It seems like wherever he is, it's a completely different place from where you are.
Right. Do I get the sense he's like holographic? Like I can't actually affect him in terms of...
I will tell you this. You have a sense that if you walk, there might be a means for you to just walk through the mirror.
Okay.
However, I will say this, like, there's a great deal of menace and confidence in him, which you get from that interaction. At which point, with that 7, wasn't quite enough to kind of keep him distracted, but you get the sense that he reads exactly what you're doing. He says, "Oh, feeling a little confident, are we? Care to try your luck? Come in."
Depends. What's in it for me?
Your survival? What is it that you want? Exactly.
I think that's the question I should be asking you. I'm a librarian, after all. I know how to work with knowledge. And knowledge often gets people what they want.
Indeed it does, my dear. Indeed it does. Well, let's just say that I don't expect that you understand the encroaching threat upon this world, but when it does consume it, I will be astride the ashes, ruling the new thing that emerges. It's as simple as that, really.
Tell me more. And I think that's like she is trying to bait him.
Okay. I will say this, with a 7, you get the sense that he is reading you like a book. Okay. Twig, you're up.
All right.
I am, however, going to turn a card because of the newest round of combat.
Cool.
Yeah.
The jackal was a bummer.
Well, what's even worse...
Oh, God.
The Doctor, the nemesis of vision, swans, blades, and water. Wisdom, health, dependence on others, and disease. Okay. But doctors are supposed to heal. What is it that you're doing? Okay.
It is really creepy how prophetic that is. Because I was going to ask if Twig can see. There's something connecting these Elderbrin to the stuff. Is that correct, or am I making that up in my head?
No, it's a magical kind of like strand of filament of light. And actually, this reminds me, Kiri, you would know that from that bit, you can probably seize that filament and sever it if you need to. There's just something about like the filament itself that is it feels inherent that you can just sever it and pick it up and grab it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Twig. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Great minds and also creepily prophetic pull, because I was like, ooh, maybe I can surgically remove that thing. That line. Does it look like that would be a hard thing to just shoot it?
You could certainly try to shoot the filament out of the air.
I don't like that answer. I'm going to cast a spell.
Okay.
And that spell is My Body is a Weapon. I create a weapon that can be wielded with one hand from my own blood, adding 1 vex to my physicality pool. That's what I need more of. The weapon shimmers with sanguine liquidity and is hot to the touch, but harder than steel. It disappears when it leaves my hand, or I sheath it back into my bloodstream. The vex, however, remains. That's a green, depletion 0 at the start of each day.
Okay, cool. So you draw this. What does this weapon look like?
I think this is what do you remember? Oh yeah, in our lost episode.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of it is very much a classical longsword. And probably I think it's broken at the tip though.
Oh yeah. Okay. Love this.
And it is forged just from straight blood shot through with ink. So it almost has the effect of like a marbled red blade.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't actually know that I need to. It's a level 4. Do I need to roll for that?
It's a level 4. With this, you are going to need to match the creature's level in order to sever this connection. So you're going to need to hit a total of 6 twice.
Cool.
On 2 dice. So you're going to need a minimum of 2 on each die.
All right. I will have to spend my remaining sword. This is not how I wanted to do that. I just got that fucking thing. And I have a vex, and then choppy.
Choppy.
Apostate ability. Let me double check to make sure I don't have anything extra. I think I have a minus. This is a real bummer because I think I have a -1 from the doctor, correct? Because it's a nemesis card.
Yeah, actually, you have -2 from the doctor.
That's mine. That's mine.
Wait,
That's
never mind.
-2 for me.
Just
I'm
-1.
Secret Ravens books and Secrets Ravens and books.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything cool. I'm just basically rolling and hoping for the best.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. It really is. Fuck, that's so close. That's there was an 8 and a 5 on the dice.
An 8 and a 5 on the dice. So okay. All right.
-1.
I will tell you this, because you got an 8 and a 5 -1.
So 7 and a 4.
I will tell you, because you got 1 success, I will give you a mixed, and a very close. You have a mixed success, which is that, or not a mixed success, a mixed failure, which is, in this case, you feel the blood impact the filament, and you find it repulses the blade more than you would have expected, but you feel like you have sawed through a piece of it, like maybe you have set yourself up for the next strike. And at which point, once again, I will say this, as we kind of move into the next round of combat, the figure looks and roars as the fire begins to engulf more of its skin, and the blood kind of traces almost like a circle around it as it begins to move and, pick its next target. And at which point, Marlowe says to you, Kiri, be very interesting to see if you do end up surviving the next few minutes. And it's at that point that we're going to take a 10-minute break. So guys, towards the tail end of part 2 here, we'll see if they can make it out against this agent of the Vespertine. Stay tuned.
Goodbye, good luck. I'll miss you. Remember me this late. But when I leave, I still believe I'll see
Welcome back, everybody, once again to The Hole in the World, an actual play set in the world of The Invisible Sun by Monty Cook Games. Where last we left off, we were in the middle of combat with the Vespertine agent that had infiltrated and pretty much done some terrible things, not just to the visitors to the house and Her Elegance, who is the mistress of the Melodious Manor, but also to a number of Elderbrand that had transported here for what had previously been understood as some sort of clandestine operation, and now it would appear that their essences are being funneled somewhere where Marlo Anvers is watching with great anticipation, suspense, interest, fascination. We'll figure it out. So, without further ado, let's pick it up with the next round of combat. Gabrielle.
Hello.
You are up as this thing has begun dripping oiled blood that is now on fire in the area around you.
Yes. I can make it worse.
Yes. I was going to say, you can make it worse. I will tell you this. Any action that you take, in order to avoid the fire, you are going to need to do a dodge roll.
Yes.
You can just eat the damage and attempt to try to grapple or attack this creature. But if you do, you will just, take that damage, and it will just be something you can either try to shrug off with physicality or just take the wound or injuries. Okay.
Could I dodge and move before my action?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say
let's do that. Let's do that.
This is part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna tuck and roll, and get a little distance here.
Okay. Go ahead and give me, I will say for your dodge action, this is a little bit of a lower rating. Give me a total of 4.
Okay. That is a 5.
Excellent. Okay, so you dodge and kind of tuck and roll away from the fire, putting some distance in between you as this thing kind of tries to swipe at you as you move. That said, with you now out of its grasp, it kind of looks to all of you. I'm going to make a card pull to see if it notices Kiri.
Do I get to take an action too, or was that it?
Absolutely. Sorry. Take your action.
I dodge and I roll out of the way. Feathers bristling, claws scraping the ground with that horrible noise of basically almost like steel talons on whatever kind of granite surface this is. And as I let out a very velociraptor-like hiss, since I'm technically an Erebast in this moment, any words are coming through telepathically. I think mentally I speak to this creature just going, "Oh, so you want to be like me? I can make that happen." And I cast Curse of Feathers.
Ooh, interesting.
This is a level 5 spell. It happens instantly. Specifically, the being I curse randomly sprouts bird-like things from its own flesh, tearing and screeching as they do. Each time this happens, the victim loses an action and suffers 4 points of damage. It happens immediately, and then whenever a 0 on a die is rolled, we check each round. It's the color red. The facet is a curse. It depletes, and the curse is lifted.
God, that is amazing. Okay, do me a favor. Roll your dice. You need to hit a total of 6, so keep in mind your level is very high.
Yeah, it's 5.
Okay, cool.
Is this a +1 die? Let me double check.
All right.
No, this is not a +1 die. My other
I was going to say, no, this, like, a spell this powerful, add a die to it. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, it doesn't say to.
Yeah, well,
are you just being a kind and benevolent GM right now?
Well, no, it's just like sometimes like the descriptions don't include die roll, like additional dice for spells where they should.
Let's do it. Yeah. And you said the total that I'm trying to hit is
6 total.
6.
So you're trying to hit it twice.
6 on each die. Let's go, baby. Oh, hell yeah. 1's a 9 on the magic dice. My magic dice loves me. And I rolled an 8 on my other dice. Let's dance, motherfucker.
So, be careful about your ears because essentially this creature lets out a roar as if to move and to attack, and you just hear it go, and then suddenly, as all of these, as what you realize is almost like
love that.
An ancestral rage ripples through this creature as taking on your form, it has gotten more than it bargained for. And it, like, out of one of its shoulders rips a beak. And out of one of its ribs, you see a claw reach out, a set of talons, and begin scraping at the side of its torso. And it kind of folds in on itself, trying to keep its form together, realizing what it has done to itself as part of your action, and opened itself up to this. The fire is beginning to catch all around it as it begins to flail in terror, and more of that Icarus oil blood is spilling as the arms and the beaks kind of emerge, and feathers just begin kind of like falling and covered in oil as it falls off of its form. It suffers. You realize that whatever you just did kind of undid the regeneration that it had undergone by eating one of the Elderbrin. And in so doing, you realize one of these like hands that is reaching out of its form is that of like an inky black Elderbrin, just desperately reaching, trying to get out. You don't know how long whatever that creature has, though. So it loses its action. It takes that damage. And now, I believe, Maurice, you are up.
Yes. I'm going to roll to see if my spider's still active, and I think we need to pull a card for the curse.
Yes, absolutely. So this one's great. The Tyrannical Clock. Oppression, time, countdown, schedule, repetition. We live and die quite literally by time. It rules our actions, for we have no actions without it. We struggle to accomplish what we must by a certain time, or we face grim consequences. We eat, sleep, and even breathe, measured by the movements of the clock. It is our master. It is our enemy. By the ticking of the clock, by the breaking of your bones, by the shrieking of the flock, the tyrant revels in the moans. You get the sense that whatever time this creature had afforded to it, it basically is beginning to lose it, and it's getting more desperate. Its movements getting that much more intense. Its color is invisible, so note that, Maurice, going forward. What do you do?
Okay, I think I'm gonna whisper to the spider and say, same verse, reverses the first, and go right back to the creature.
Mm-hmm.
Can I like aim the spider at the hand?
Yeah.
Can I like go zip line directly to that hand and grab it?
Right, you are, mate. And you just you see a Spider-Man like thwip of webbing as you are pulled along. What are you trying to do?
I'm gonna grab that Elderbrin's hand, and I guess try to avoid fire.
You are going to have to make a movement roll of 4. I will give you 1 because you are traveling along this web. What do you?
Right.
Cool. So just roll.
I can't. I have 0 bending in movement. So let's roll.
Okay.
Add 0. That's a 2.
Okay.
2 plus nothing.
Even with a total of 3, you still get licked by the flames. So you are going to take 2 physical injuries, and you are going to ignite.
Oh no!
Yeah. So basically, what is going to happen is some of your clothing catches. You get a sense that if you don't put yourself out as soon as possible, you will suffer more for it. However, you are where you need to be.
All right, and I will pull, and I will spend my 1 remaining bene in physicality to help pull.
You need a total of 6. Depending on how you do, we'll see what happens.
No whammies. Hey, that's an 8.
Okay, you pull out this Elderbrin, who is screaming as you kind of like pull it out of the creature's form. Steam is hissing off of it as you pull it free, and you see places where whatever magic was trying to absorb this creature begins to fade away as it grips you tightly for salvation.
And I guess that's... Well, I moved magically, like with a spider. Can I try and get this guy away to safety?
I will tell you that you can try that on your next round.
All right, then I'm done.
Cool. In that case, Kiri, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think... So first off, Kiri is going to use a secret that she has. It's called... Or actually not a secret, an incantation called The Other Reflection is the Real You. Level 5. After casting this, the next 2 times you are physically attacked, the attacks are foiled because you're not where the attacker thought, but a step or 2 to the side. The attacker sees a mirror-like duplicate shatter into glass when they make the foiled attack. So narratively, I think what's happening here is Kiri looks at the mirror, looks at her glass skin, and a smirk rises over the side of her face that weirdly almost mirrors Marlowe's. And she says, 2 can play at this game. If you can find me, that is. And I think the other thing, since incantations I think are a free action, right? That she does is she pulls out, and this is a deep cut, Alyaska's Curse Dagger.
Ooh.
And she's gonna start severing the umbilical cords.
Okay. All right. I will tell you this. If you're doing it for each Elderbrin, it's going to be a fairly easy... I will tell you this. I believe that Twigg was working on the main thread. So I will say you can roll and get, if you can get a total of 4, you can sever it entirely.
Okay, cool. Okay. Let me make sure that... So I think it's just a straight action, right? In terms of like using an item to cut something.
Yeah, absolutely. Roll, I think with the dagger you're fine. I don't think you get any augmentation to this other than the spell level. What is the spell level?
Level 7. Well, the item is level 7.
Oh, you don't even need a roll. You just cut through. However, I am going to turn a card. First off, that Curse Dagger evaporates into an acrid, caustic black mist as the curse is expended and used in order to sever the form of this umbilicus. However, interestingly enough, I pulled the Untrustworthy Mirror, which is augmenting gold and it diminishes silver. Its mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. Its meanings are illusion, false identity, and failure. Can we trust the mirror? Shadow thinking would say yes, but wisdom gained in the actuality suggests otherwise. When no one can see your reflection, is it really yours? If you have to look in a mirror to confirm your own appearance or identity, how do we know it's not lying? The world is full of illusion and deception. Believing your own eyes isn't always wise, and believing what's in the mirror is a step removed even from that. Something that appears real is not. It could be that someone's in disguise, or it might just be that an idea, a fact, or an emotion is actually a deception. Taken broadly, the untrustworthy mirror suggests failure. Someone significant is actually someone else in disguise. Some important fact accepted by many people is really a lie. A great endeavor fails. The mirror virus begins to spread. When you don't look into the mirror, what's the mirror looking at? So, this is an important card. And I'm going to change the music a bit.
Thanks, I fucking hate this.
Too many things with mirrors in them, guys.
Oh, I wonder who did that. I wonder who did that.
Kiri, as you sever with the blade this thread of magic, it comes away easy enough, and yet as you kind of make contact, the thread that is remaining on this other side of the surface through which Marlo is standing, basically the thread extending from the Elderbrin, wraps around your arm, almost like a wild lash of magic that reaches out and grabs. And as it connects with you, you get the sense of something exploding in your chest. You it feels like an explosion at first, but what it is you think it's your heart racing. And as you kind of feel this surge of magic run through you, and you realize that whatever magic they are using, it is dark as pitch and in nature, and you get the sense that this would do grievous harm to you, and yet you feel in it your ability to redirect it. Almost like you could vent it elsewhere. So what do you do as you feel this magic kind of beginning to lash out and reach out angrily towards you?
Yeah, I think she wants to try to vent it. I think feeling that she can. I mean, Kiri has a spirit of sort of curiosity and intrepidness and trying to figure things out. And when there's something new, I think she pursues it.
Okay. So as you kind of reach forward to I will tell you kind of like, I can inform you what this looks like. But it's almost like arcing lightning out of you, and kind of like a hiss of magic. I think everybody in this room hears an ear-splitting crack as this magic arcs out of you, but it doesn't just arc out of your hand and your fingertips where you point it. It arcs out of your mouth, out of your eyes, and it's pouring out of you. As this kind of filament, it kind of begins circling around, and where oil that has been spilled by this creature hasn't caught a flame, it ignites, and so many like tiny fires begin flaring up over this drawing room. You realize that all of you are in this kind of treacherous battleground, but I will say this, Gabrielle, you cannot help but reflexively react to looking at this kind of display. And as your eyes look over Kiri, there had been this sign that she had written, Her Elegance, but you could see through because of the Seed of Truth. But as you look at her, there is something that shifts in her form. It shimmers. At one point, there's just like that mirrored glass that kind of crosses it. And for a second, you think that's not an augmentation. You think that might be what she really looks like. And underneath whatever, kind of her outward form is. And then it shimmers again. And you see raw energy, a color of indigo that it seems to has taken on form, and then it shimmers again back, and you see Kiri. But at this point, just like all of this black arcing lightning shooting out of every kind of pore of her. And it's at this moment, I think, Kiri, you are going to take one anguish as you feel this surge through you. And then Marlo, looking on, says, "Oh, that is very interesting indeed." And you see him reach forward a hand as it pierces through the mirror, as if to reach down and grab you as you falter. Twigg, you're up.
Yay. I'm trying to think of what shady bullshit I can do. Yeah, I think Twigg sees this. The umbilical they were caught at hacking at has been
Yeah.
successfully.
Kiri severed it. Whatever was going there is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that umbilical has been severed, and Marlowe is reaching towards her.
Yeah, there is a hand that almost breaches the surface of this mirror as though it's water.
I would like to do some violence.
All right.
And I think specifically that means I'm pretty close to this, correct?
You are.
I think Twigg's just gonna try to get the muzzle of Fortinbras as close to his wrist as possible, or his elbow, and try to take that limb off if they can.
You may certainly try. I'm gonna tell you straight away, this is a very high difficulty.
Okay.
You will need 2 successes, and I can give you like maybe a middling success, depending on how you roll, but I don't necessarily want to reveal the challenge to you. I would like you to roll so we can see what happens.
Let me see if I can even get 2 successes. Oh yeah, I do have +1 dice. Okay, I will spend a bene to bump this. Let me look at my little scratch sheet here, and I've got a buttload of accuracy to spend.
Okay. I am also going to turn a card, which is going to end up on the testament because of what just transpired. Okay.
Okay. Does that factor into this roll, or will it factor into the next roll?
I'm factoring it into this roll. It is elusive sleep. It augments blue. It diminishes red. Meanings are futility, worry, stress, and awareness. Someone is racked with worry. An NPC notices something important, which we've already seen. An NPC's actions are futile. No one can sleep. Sleep can be difficult prey for even the most skilled hunter when it wishes to be. Okay. So just to kind of give you a heads up, what transpired with Kiri's form, only Gabrielle saw. But you do see this arm reaching through for her. You have got the barrel of the gun, the muzzle against the wrist. What are you firing?
I'm gonna let Fortinbras send it.
Yeah.
I don't think Twigg knows exactly how severe this is because they don't have the additional information. Here's a question for you, Zach. Who's choosing what ammo to shoot? Is that Fortinbras or Twigg? Because I feel like at this point, Twigg really has nothing to do with this. Twigg's just like, yeah, I pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Honestly, I barely even pull the trigger. I'm more like, hey, buddy.
Yeah. At which point, you just hear in that that growl of Fortinbras, eat this motherfucker. And I need you to roll. I'm gonna give you 3 to this because Fortinbras really hates this guy. And
specifically has a beef?
Yeah, he specifically has a beef, there's something about this guy reads me wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, so roll
I'm
your
rolling
dice.
3 dice? Okay, so I have on the dice, I have a 7, a 4, and a 1.
Okay.
And then we're adding
the
testament. What is the testament currently?
The testament is augmenting blue, and it diminishes red.
Which I don't think is affecting me in any way currently.
Cool. Okay.
And that's a wash. So that is a total of I added a bene, so that is a total of +5 +1, so 6. 13, 10, and 7.
13, 10, and 7. You see, you hear... Oof, okay. I have to turn another card for this to see if something happens. All right. The swan, which is the companion. Good fortune, good weather, latent talents. Elegant and serene, the swan is the companion card of the visions family. The weather calm, someone gets a lucky break. An NPC finds a latent talent or ability previously unknown. The regal swan's quiet mind conceals wonders. So I'm going to give you this as basically, you are very fortunate, which is that you realize that the death seed that Fortinbras fired, you see a patch of vines kind of wrap all over that wrist before they fall away, and he shakes his wrist and says, worthwhile attempt, but he has recoiled and brought his wrist back. The thing that is the most fortunate thing is you get the sense that if you hadn't been very lucky and Fortinbras hadn't been very determined, the barrel would have exploded.
That's upsetting. Fortinbras is a level 8 creature all on his own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was 9 damage, and he was like, oh, ouchie.
Yeah, he just, he kind of shakes his wrist.
I fucking hate this guy.
And he looks entertained at you. Entertained by you, I should say. And that was Twigg's move. That was Kiri. Gav, you are up.
Oh boy, this dude is still like looking okay.
Well, I will tell you this. The one that you guys have been wailing on, the Fervent, is looking like he is on his last legs. Okay. If you roll a 0 on this for your spell, it will deplete. So roll to see if you can incur that damage again.
Yeah, let me do that first. Nope, that's a 3. It doesn't come back this round.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get rid of one of these problems.
Okay.
I have a funny image in my head and I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want my giant velociraptor girl to shoot a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
Yeah, excellent.
Don't question how I'm able to do it. That's not the point.
What was it? Jurassic Park, the most dangerous game. We gave the raptors guns. Who gives the raptors guns?
The cleverest girl.
I am the cleverest girl. I'm going to take out my rifle, and I will commission an artist. I swear to God. For a giant velociraptor with my feather arms and talons.
Yeah.
I'm very loopy this morning, folks, and you're getting the best version of myself in combat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's fire this baby. Let me pop it. Oh, no, I don't have any more sortilege. I won't be popping any magic into it. That's fine, because it still does a bonkers amount of damage because I have lethal lore and weapon whisperer.
Excellent.
We are gonna hit that sucker for 7 points of damage.
So I need you to just...
Nope.
Yeah.
8 points of damage.
So I need you to do me 2 things here, which is I need you to tell me what it is you whisper to your rifle in order to give it this opportunity. And the second thing I need you to do is describe your kill.
Yeah, maybe. I pull out the gun. It's probably on the floor at this point, but since I changed, we're not going to question where my clothes go when I do this. And take aim and whisper. I'm not whispering because in this form I can't physically speak, but I'm assuming that somehow I connect telepathically with my baby girl. And I just say, this is what we were made to do. And fire the shot.
As a set of talons are prying open this bisected jaw, you realize that the back of this creature's throat is exposed. and it lets loose one last as it opens wide. The shot pierces the back of it, blowing out an exit wound that is the size of a basketball. And
That's how we solve problems.
Yeah, you just see it slump to the ground and fall over, and the oil that is its blood now seems to catch fire and ignite the creature. At which point, Maurice, speaking of ignited...
I do have a question before I catch fully on fire.
Yeah.
Twig, your magic of healing allies, when does that tick? On your turn, on my turn? You're muted.
That's a great point. I forgot to roll on my turn. It was above the minute. Above. I only lose it on a 0. And I believe it's my turn. I think that makes the most narrative sense. Like it pulses at the beginning of my turn. So anybody who had a wound, you've healed 1 wound.
Okay.
Would that
near range?
That probably takes care of injuries as well.
Yeah, I will say
that's even stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say it covers, I believe, physical wounds. Kiri, your
it does not cover. Yeah, it doesn't cover anguish.
Kiri, your anguish stays. Yeah. Cool. I was gonna say, I think that the fire is still going, but like you feel whatever is kind of like burning you is like it's like your skin is like trying to heal as fast as the fire can burn it. So you get the sense, however, that your clothes are on fire. So
yeah, I think his focus is dragging this Elderbrand away from any sources of fire that aren't himself. And I think he'll get back within, a couple yards of Duncan, and they'll say, Duncan, go tell Her Elegance that her parlor's on fire.
At which point Duncan's like, okay, Dad. And then just beelines out of the room, skipping and jumping fluffily between gouts of fire as more of these reagents kind of catch.
And then I think he'll kind of pat down his clothes.
Okay. I was gonna say I will say that with an action you can put yourself out. Cool. Kiri, you are up. Like you, I think, just feel exhausted, and you see where Marlowe is shaking his wrist, and you realize that he was about to grab and drag you through this mirror. What do you do?
Yeah, I think Kiri is going to cast a spell, which is a very interesting proposition at this particular moment, and I'm very curious what will happen when she does this. She's going to cast Waddy's Weightlessness. Level 4 plus 1 die. You or a roughly human-sized target you touch are weightless and immune to gravity for the duration of the spell. Very quick to cast, does not use an action. Okay. Depletion 0 to 1, check each hour. So I think literally as soon as she realizes that like Marlowe was going for her and so confused by like what just happened, it's almost reflexive. Like her Vancian training just like kicks in and she goes, I gotta get up off the ground. So yeah, she aims to go weightless.
Excellent. Okay, so you begin floating, and do you kind of kick off, or is it just one of these things where you just start floating and levitating?
I think she sort of like kind of does like a jump, and the jump like almost moon jump, right? Where it's like when you're not bound to gravity, you just kind of like soar based on the momentum that, yeah, as you say, from when you kick off.
Yeah, and I think the way that you kind of kick off, you just see his eyes following you, and again that smirk, and you just see him kind of wave as if to say, I'll see you later. And
hang on.
Yeah.
That, however, it's quick to cast, does not use an action.
Okay.
So I still have my action.
All right.
And
what would you like to do?
I would like to try to hold him in place.
Okay.
Because otherwise he's going to piece.
Yeah. You may certainly roll.
Yes, so I have a spell that should help with this. Let me just grab it. This is Vitanda. Level 4, plus 1 die. One nearby being can no longer perform one specific action that I name. In the case of this spell, the specificity is important. Make melee attacks, cast spells, speak, or move from where they stand are all viable actions to name. Take offensive action, breathe, think, or move a muscle are all too broad. Depletion is 0. Check each round. Color blue.
What level is that spell in? This is a Vancian spell, correct?
General. It's
it is general. Okay.
Yeah.
Blue is currently benefited by the Testament of Suns as well.
It's so that is Vakanda is 5 then.
4.
4.
Oh, yeah, right.
But it's
4
blue.
plus-
Yeah.
Because,
right.
5.
Yeah.
You're correct.
So do me a favor. You can roll and tell me what action you're trying to keep him from taking. I will say this: you are going to need more than 2 dice in order to affect him. The other thing I will say is that this is a general spell. I'm gonna turn a card to see if something happens.
Yeah, there also should have probably been a card turn for my, because even though it was
Cool.
it doesn't cost my action, the weightlessness is a spell too.
Cool. Okay. So in this case, the first card that is pulled is Forbidden Game. Notions, cats, clocks, and wind. Danger, intellect, strategy, and balance. The temptation to partake in the game is strong, but you know you shouldn't. It's dangerous. It's forbidden. It's far more than it seems. And on top of that, there is a threat here, but it is one that can be overcome with cleverness and strategy. This cleverness needs to take into account the balance of all involved factors, which can be daunting as sometimes those factors are difficult to see. A leader uses elaborate plans to get what they want. A military leader develops intricate strategies as they prepare their soldiers. People are engaged in some kind of game or sport. Weavers playing the spider's game become important to the matters at hand. The game isn't like life. It's better. It's more realistic. So I'm going to say that strategic action, you realize that this is more of an exercise between the two of you as Vances, of just be like, oh, that was your move, and that was your counter move to my move, and you're setting yourself up for another move. Interesting. So we're going to turn another card for this new spell. Ooh. This was the one I was hoping to get. The Incriminating Skull. Its color is gold. It weakens silver. Meanings: disaster, discovery, evidence, connections, friends, and family. The skull is uncovered, revealing a long buried wrong. It is evidence of a crime. However, the skull was once a person, and that person's family and friends miss them. They wonder what happened to them, and discovering the remains of the victim actually brings them some comfort and closure on the situation. The evidence that is uncovered might be the result of a long investigation, or it might be entirely accidental and inadvertent. It might be something that people have long searched for, or the remains of someone or something that no one even knew was missing. Last, it might be something that someone was trying to actively conceal, or it might just be the remains of some past event covered up only by time. Something that should have remained hidden becomes evident. A friendly NPC, particularly one with a bond to the NPC, makes an appearance, or something happens that suggests a connection with them. The raven remembers your sins. So this is what happens as you reach out to cast this spell to hold him in place. You get the sense that this is a long shot of all long shots. You get the sense watching him shrug off a shot from Fortinbras is one thing that's just kind of terrifying. So whatever this is, there's not really a big chance that this is going to work. But you have to try. And you reach forward to cast your spell. You sense the path of the sun's blue being augmented. You find this opportunity, and nothing emerges. As a Vance, you understand that, especially with the Vancian spells, that you need to kind of win the respect, the camaraderie of the spell. in order to cast it, because you have to treat it as though it is a living thing. And you get the strong sense that this spell is rebelling against you, as though it does not respect you enough to allow you to cast it. And it's one thing to have that reaction from a Vancian spell. It's a completely other thing to have it happen with a general spell. And you feel a sense of despair as you try, and nothing comes out. You gain 1 despair for this GM intrusion.
Well, that's distressing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it's pretty core shaking. Suddenly your magic doesn't work. And you feel a lack of respect from the magic around you.
Mm-hmm.
That is how to hit a spellcaster in the heart, where it hurts.
Okay. And I think there's just this kind of lack of even the seed, you feel like it can't, you understand the words, and yet what it is telling you is not actual language. You're used to hearing it speak in your voice, but you feel a flood of soothing and visualize a flood of soothing, attempting to reassure you imagery. But it is far different from what you are used to seeing. And Marlowe looks through the mirror up at you with just, again, a happy little smirk on his face, as if what he is watching is the most interesting bit of entertainment. He didn't even have to pay for it. That is your turn. Gabrielle, I will say, with this creature slumped over, we are out of action mode.
Are we?
Well, my question is, do you guys want to try to take action against this form in the mirror?
I feel like, due to the Seed of Truth, Gav knows how difficult and futile that might be.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some unconscious civilians to attend to. So I know for Gav's part, she's going to head in their direction.
Mm-hmm. I will.
So if we want to still be in turn-based action, I'll say that Gav heads towards the Elder Bryn and is trying to sort them.
I will tell you this. I think we're going to move out of action mode. And the reason we will do this is, I will tell you, as you make eye contact with the figure through the mirror, you recognize exactly who you remember from the war report. The irreverent Mott, this person that said he was his friend. This Vance, this kind of upright looking dark wizard or dark book mage, looks back at you. However, you see through the illusions, and you see the truth. Overlaid over his true form is that vision of the book mage. However, he has been marked by where the true spider, the spider prince, gripped him, and attempted to remove and extricate him from whatever protection he'd cast upon himself, and to yank him out of the illusion and into reality, out of the Irreverent Mott's mind. So it doesn't need to be disfiguring, but Maurice, how has the true spider's touch marked Marlowe Anvers?
That's unexpected.
I will say you can also pass if you'd like.
Can you give me just the a little nugget of context and jog my memory of this event.
So, at one point, Irreverent Mott, fought alongside all of you and was dominated for a fraction of a moment by Marlowe as you were defending the ritual that erected the black cube to save the Pathwalkers. Mm-hmm. However, the Spider Prince, in a fleeting moment, as soon as the ritual was cast, was able to yank Marlowe out of the Irreverent Mott's mind to try to attempt to kill him outright, but he managed to get away. So
his body, at least from what you can see, like from the bust upwards,
mm-hmm.
his skin is held together as if by a spider web.
Is that okay with everybody?
And I do a thing. Surprisingly, a non-violent thing.
Let's let Maurice finish real quick. Maurice,
that's good. I'm done.
Well,
okay.
This is directly related to that.
Yeah, Twig.
Like, do we all see that or just Gav?
Just Gav.
Okay.
She's the only one that can see the truth behind the illusion.
So there's some mirror bullshit going on, and Twig knows that they don't deal well with mirror bullshit, but they know somebody who does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Twig puts a hand on Kiri's shoulder,
mm-hmm.
Leaving yet another smear of blood and ink. I'm doing great, folks. It's fine.
Uh-huh.
Ankle. Puts a hand on Kiri.
Important question, actually. What happened to the weightlessness spell when the second spell failed? Is it still active, or is that gone too?
It's still active. I will say, what level is what kind of
Wadi's weightlessness?
Yeah.
So Wadi's weightlessness is level 4.
Okay, so is it beta or an alpha?
It's
I think it's a beta, right?
I think so. Yes, it is a beta spell.
You get the sense that the beta spell obeyed you.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
But specifically, I'm trying to trigger an ephemera for this. It's called The Hour is Thin. It's level 5. A person you touch will make a remarkable discovery in the next few hours. They will gain the answer to a question they ask or succeed in an intellect-based action relating to knowledge or discovery.
I have been
indigo.
Waiting for one of you guys to use that ephemera for ages.
I have been holding on to it for 20 sessions, waiting for the perfect moment to use this. And this is
84 years.
I have had the same 3 ephemera for a very long time because I don't want to get rid of any of them, and I've been waiting, and this is the perfect moment to answer some fucking mirror bullshit.
Amazing.
I will say this. In order to do this, I will say that you throw the ephemera up to Kiri as she's kind of floating reflexively away. I'm not going to make you roll for this because this is interesting to me. And you catch this ephemera, and you, I think, instinctually know what effect this has, Kiri. Do you want to say anything, Twig, as you throw this?
No, this is instinct. This isn't like they're throwing a razor thin clock. I forget what it was originally described as. I've always been picturing it as a razor thin clock,
Yeah.
The hour is thin.
Yeah.
Up, kind of like a little mini frisbee.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels appropriate. Feels like there's something that we're not seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
And also you're floating away, and it seems like you could use a hand.
Yeah. Excellent. I will say, as you do this, Kiri, you catch the hour is thin, and you look down, and you see Marlowe looking up back at you, waves, and then he places his hand against the surface, and you watch as it shatters into several pieces. You get the sense that you still have much that you can investigate and discover, but Marlowe has taken his leave of you. And we are going to move out of combat. And so let's have some different music. I will say that in a short order, Gafarian, flanked by a exhausted Her Elegance, reappears at the entryway. And without that fervent's influence, the area brightens and there is no more magical darkness that is kind of concealing the entire place. You watch as she flexes her hands as if to crack the knuckles, and she begins moving, and you see these small oil fires being smothered by floorboards as she shifts and rearranges the room, and putting almost the 3 Elderbrin onto a raised kind of platform or dais, and kind of begins shifting them forward to pull them to the entry away from where they were in this massive drawing room. That said, I was going to say, Maurice, you are still gripping the Elderbrin who's holding on to you for support. You can see where its body is beginning to patch over and heal from Twigg's armor of reality. But that said, like, all of you just see this place shifting and changing at a much faster clip than it was before, and just everything begins kind of patching over. But there's just this feeling of loss and ruin that lingers. What do all of you do?
Twigg takes a knee. They're beat to hell. Like, they're like physically and like just meta wise, almost every single pool I have is drained. I've got 2 anguish. I don't know if the malaise is still present. I burned the vex on my physicality, but Twigg is just not standing for a reason.
Yeah, I think even like Kiri, I think even weightless, like you've rest and like you just find that I think there's just this additional drain that hits you as well. I think the 2 of you at the very least are exhausted.
I think Kiri floats down slowly, I think, but like runs toward that shattered mirror. And I think, what is left? Is it just the glass has shattered and there's now like a kind of board behind it? Or is it like a completely empty?
So there is a board behind it. There's just where there was kind of a way to get through. However, the thing that you see is the shattered pieces. They are not mirrored glass. They're transparent glass. As if you could have walked through at any point, but it would have put you into Marlowe's grasp. But this is not mirrored at all.
Gotcha. I still think she pounds her fist on the back of the mirror board. No, come back! Come back, you! And I think she is kind of at a loss for words as to what exactly she means by that. But it's clear that Marlowe knows something, that Marlowe recognized something in whatever just happened to her. And she's feeling that kind of loss, that loss of possibility of having an answer or knowing something, or that knowledge that there is something she doesn't know and he knows it. And she doesn't.
You see that ephemera item now in your grasp. The hour is thin. This could be a way to get some answers, or you could save it.
I think, like, she looks down at it, but she feels this sort of temptation, like, right here, right now, I'm going to ask this question. If he won't tell me, if he is gone, I need to know for me. But I think the fact that Twigg threw it to her, it means that her eye sort of almost skips from the hour is thin to Twig, and I think that's when she notices Twig has taken a knee on the ground.
Yeah, Twig, just blood is like, you're getting a nosebleed. It's not like an arterial bleed or anything like that, but like you are starting to get a nosebleed, and the exhaustion has hit you. You're physically fine, but whatever anguish you have suffered, I will say this, as a result of that permanent anguish, as you lean forward, one of your pockets kind of leans with you, and spilling out of it are all of the crystal orbs that you earned from taking 2 permanent anguish. They begin to pool around your knelt form, and you practically could lie on a bed of these.
I had no idea depression could be that lucrative.
I've been doing it wrong the whole time. How many did I think I forgot to add this to my, am I aware of that? Or was I previously aware of this? Or am I just like super sad and then all of a sudden money's pouring out?
Well, I think the thing about this is you had these plentiful pockets before.
Yeah, I still do.
You still do, and you still have them. But the thing was that as you lean forward, as you're kind of feeling that exhaustion, like the pocket has tipped forward and is just beginning to spill out all of those orbs.
How many orbs do I have?
Hundreds.
Is it extra?
Hundreds.
Oh no.
Like, you suffered, I'm going to be very honest, the dictates of that contract, every time you suffered anguish, you would be rewarded for your pain. And there's just so much money pouring out of the pockets because you have gained 2 permanent anguish. Kiri, you see this and you kind of like get this mixed image of, wait, money? Oh no. And you remember the deal with King 9, and you rush forward. What do you do?
Yeah. I think she sort of sinks to her knees next to Twig, and something happened back there, didn't it? Something happened with Getherian. What did you do?
I took the knowledge that was hurting him.
So that it would hurt you. You did that knowing what it was.
I thought everybody wanted me to be more responsible. I thought we were supposed to be culpable for our actions now and think about things, and it seemed like the right thing to do. I'm not very good at right, but it seemed like the right thing to do. I don't know what's going on. Like, with all this is when they point down at the pocket that's just like erupted in crystal orbs all over the place. I don't know what this is, but
It's your contract with King 9. Obviously, it's a reflection of what you're feeling. Very lucrative, it seems.
As you are... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think Twig just says him, like a lot more angrily than tiredly.
As you are having this conversation, Maurice, the Eldrin that has kind of like held on to you for salvation, is speaking to you animatedly in a language that you do not understand, as if in a panic. And it's like grabbing onto your sleeve and trying to get you to do something. You cannot understand what it is telling you.
I am so sorry. I don't understand a word you are saying. Gav, Twig,
Vasalakatatu! Vasalakatatu!
maybe Her Elegance. Her Elegance.
Her Elegance kind of like steps forward and looks to the Eldrin and says, "What is it, my child?" And then you hear, and she's basically trying to comfort and reassure her. Anybody can make a perception roll here, but the Elderbrin kind of quiets in her presence and begins saying, "Vasalakataktu, makitaba." And how did everybody do?
3.
The thing that is immediately elucidated by this, which you aren't kind of able to perceive until it's pointed out to you, is, what do you mean you cannot change anymore? And you realize that every time you've encountered Elderbrin, they have been able to shift their forms and to imitate you. Gav, you remember the child that grew a crest of feathers? This one is panicked because it is in one shape. There are pieces of it that appear to be the extremities of Visley or human-like creatures. And there are a few other motifs, but there are also that kind of like inky black texture that is the kind of like inherent to the fluidity of their skin. There's like, it does not change at all. Those extremities remain a part of this Elderbrin.
Why can't it change?
And her Elegance just looks and says, and she's going to try to sit and examine her, but she is very exhausted. She doesn't seem to kind of, she's working at kind of half speed.
And the other Elderbrin are unconscious.
The other Elderbrin are unconscious, but the moment you look over them, you realize that their forms don't shift, even if they are in a deep, dreaming sleep.
Interesting. And I can't see that there's any magic influencing that.
Make me a magical lore roll. This is going to be not...
I have a +1 in that.
Yeah, this is going to be informal, so this is your wheelhouse.
Okay.
Go.
A 6.
Okay. It's not so much magic affecting them, is the absence of magic. Is the absence of something that makes an Elderbrin an Elderbrin.
And I can see, even with like the seed of truth, that that's it now. That's it.
You do not know for sure if they could recover from this, but that is more of a medical question.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to them, but the Vespertine, Marlowe, they took something from them. I don't know why.
And she looks and she just is kind of stroking the back of the head of this creature and just trying to reassure and speak in Elderbrin to this creature. And she says, we're going to reunite her with her family. With any luck, perhaps this is not a permanent condition.
Well, if they all come from the same village, it should be safe to return there.
Yes? How so?
It's the place we just came from.
It's why we came here. Partially.
And she kind of repeats this back to the Elderbrin. And hearing that, she embraces Maurice just around the waist, and you hear these kind of like thankful, grateful noises in her language muffled against you.
Maurice returns the hug and says, well, looking around the room, I can see not one person that isn't in dire need of rest and recovery, yourself included, Her Elegance.
She nods, and Gafarian has kind of been standing apart, kind of like looking at all of you, and then you see him kind of wander over and pick up pieces of that shattered glass and look at it thoughtfully before letting it fall to the floor.
Maurice says, your guests, the Orients, do they still need assistance?
I have no idea. We will have to find them. And she...
Maurice puts a hand on her shoulder and stands to the light and says, "You rest. I'll take care of this." And he looks at Kiri and Twigg, seeing kind of the state they're in, and wanders over and gestures to Gav to follow. When everyone's in earshot, he says, "Barely made it out of that one, huh? How you doing?"
Well, I'm feeling rather invigorated. Thank you for asking. But somehow
gives you
I
a
don't
pat.
think you were asking me. And Gav is looking over at Twig. You look great, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Trying a new skincare thing.
Blood just like
Just drenched in blood and ink.
Kiri, how do you look to your compatriots?
Yeah, I mean, I think she looks like almost like hollow in a way. Like there's something that she fears is wrong, but she doesn't want to look at it. I think instead she is looking at Twig and still kind of looking into their eyes, says, "Twig, give it to me. The knowledge."
I don't think this works like that.
What's all this?
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kiri looks up at Maurice. They took something from Gatharian. Some sort of knowledge.
Stop eating people's memories.
There'll be plenty of time for investigation and yelling at Twig later. Right now. And what does Maurice see? Does he still see this weird crystallized Her Elegance in Kiri's form?
Well, I will say this. Yeah, I think at this point, as you say that, you kind of look around and you see that written bit of paper, Her Elegance, has fallen to the floor. Something that Kiri did in that minute, it seemed to have kind of dissipated that effect.
I think what he says, and kind of waves a hand, because you have not met his gaze yet, Kiri, and says, "You still there underneath all that?"
I don't know. Something happened to my magic. I reached for a spell I've used 1,000 times, and it wouldn't come. That's never happened to me before.
That sounds awful. I'm so sorry. You were incredibly brave once again.
Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe it'll come back.
You see
once I've rested and
Maurice's shoulders fall. And he says, "I'm tired too. We've earned this rest. You too.
And
Take it easy. Gav and I are gonna go figure out what it is we need to do before we collapse and take a nap."
Speak for yourself. I can go for a mile run right now.
This avatar of youth will stay up and clean this entire room for you, Her Elegance. I think that's what she
I'm
does.
still in my gigantic Erebus form. I've been speaking mentally this whole time. I'm ready to go. I'm shaking the tail feathers. Let's get jazz, people. Let's do a Zumba class while we're at it.
I will say this. Her Elegance, as you turn, you see her just kind of waving an arm over a set of bookshelves as they kind of reconstruct, and they don't refill with tomes, as so much has been destroyed, but they seem to gain a semblance of order as she has a a command and her symbiosis with the house once again. And she looks back and says, I don't think that will be necessary. But all of you who are so inclined should get some rest. There are guest chambers through that door, and you see a door form out of one of the kind of wings of this massive drawing room. And you can feel the drawing room almost reduce in size to that of a normal proportioned parlor, as for whatever purpose the Fervent had changed it, it begins to recede, and that purpose begins to melt away. So while you guys are kind of like taking all of this in, the door opens invitingly and says, we can discuss what comes next after we've all had a good deal of rest. I am going to lock this entire place down. Make sure nothing can come in or out. And as she says that, you see one of those aureates that one of the kind of catatonic guests in the soiled robes walk through the entryway. Just, Your Elegance? We need help. And she nods and says, we will handle this. And Gafarian looks back to her and kind of nods, the dial once again turning 90 degrees before kind of agreeing, and he steps to assist her. The door to the chamber yawns invitingly open if you would like to take her up on that offer.
Maurice, did the conscious Elderbrand leave?
I think she's staying with you and or staying nearby all of you.
Maurice, says with no intention of being fully understood, I'm going to be with my friends now, but you are safe and your friends are safe. And I'll give you this as a parting gift. And he uses the cantrip Reverie to trigger a happy memory.
And I think that, this moment, there's this kind of like placid look that crosses her face that is still creased with worry, but you have done whatever you can at this point. And I think, sensing, and you kind of make the gesture for her to stay put, she kind of accepts this. And at the same time, I think Duncan kind of like saddles up to her and kind of whimpers as if to offer some reassurance, and she kind of reaches down and pets. And you see her bring her hand up and look back down at Duncan, and you realize she was trying to change her skin to match his fur, and it failed. So do all of you retire for this time? Or Twig, you had something?
Has Gafarian left yet?
Gafarian is heading towards the entry, but you can catch him before he goes if you'd like.
Yeah, I think Twig manages takes a couple tries, but manages to make their feet, and is going to move to intercept them.
Yes.
Just kind of, and leans in close.
Yes. What is it?
You don't have to be what they made you to be. You have a choice now.
Well, I am no longer a witness to something. I do not recall what, and for that I am grateful. We will see what my purpose shall be. I suppose I should thank you for that, but we'll see.
Maybe.
And it kind of bows to you and nods and begins following Her Elegance. All right.
And Twigg will stumble towards that door.
Okay. All of you, I think at this point, will retire for the evening, and we will end the session here. However, there's one thing I would like, one scene I would like you guys to see as a kind of a parting shot here. Kiri, when you finally find rest for the evening, your sleep is troubled, and you struggle to find it. And when you do, you find yourself seated at a place that you recognize is, by the looks of it and by your memory from the war report, Allegra's mind palace. And you are looking around, and there are these many kind of bits of memory enshrined as statues and decorations within this vast mental structure. Whole libraries of information that she has filed away, and you kind of wander, you find yourself wandering from room to room. And in this place, you find a bedchamber which must have been Allegra's at some point. And you hear a voice speaking a whisper. And you follow that whisper into the bedroom, and you see from behind what appears to be a tall male form that is very well dressed in the manner of a high-level Vance. You get the sense that you've seen this figure before, just from the style of their hair, from their perspective. You think you recognize from behind and from the tone of voice the gentleman that you met in the Gray Sun ages and ages ago, it feels like. And as you place your hand, well, let me ask you, do you say or do anything in particular as you have this realization?
I think Kiri takes a sort of, she isn't entirely sure she is seeing what she's seeing, because why would Nathaniel be in Allegra's mind palace? Why would that be a piece of information she would have or know or catalog? Because that was part of Kiri's experience in the Gray Sun, not anything else. And I think she moves to take a step into the room, but I think hearing voices just hovers at the door listening.
And you realize that you are hearing things that he said to you in your acquaintance in the Gray, speaking of the Metal X engine, talking excitedly about your promise and potential as a kind of creator of this device and what it could mean. And the only things I can think of at this rate are Loveless and Babbage. It will be revolutionary. And then, do you respond in kind to any of this?
I think, yeah, I mean, these are her memories. She remembers being a part of this conversation. And I think she does at that point. I think she walks in and says what she said in the Gray, in that memory. It was only because of the two of us working together. It's our achievement. We did it together.
And you just hear, as a different voice, as this figure turns, and what you had presumably believed would be kind of this human figure. There is a creature of slight build, composed of solid green energy that flickers and flashes. Work together, you dare to command me. And you realize speaking to the spell Vraconda, as it looks to you and say, you, so meager and so little, would command one such as I. I am a part of the great canon. You shall have no such purchase over me. And you wake. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
What is happening?
Guys, I thought we were going to get to the end here today, but I think we got one more in us for part 3. Let's go ahead and end with character recaps. Gabrielle, character arcs, joy, despair.
Joy all day long. I killed a Vespertine agent. I'm having a great time. I think it's hilarious that out of the whole group, I have netted so much joy during this entire trip in this house.
Excellent.
Don't ask me why that happened that way. I didn't do anything for character arcs, but yes, absolutely. The killing of Vespertine's a good day.
Excellent. Always. And I will say that if anybody had character arcs related to stopping the whatever was going on in the Gold Sun, I think this will probably qualify. Okay. And also take 2 acumen for getting the killing shot on the Fervent. Maurice, joy, despair, character arcs.
Joy. Everyone lived. And all my friends are fine. They're not going through anything really distressing or anything. Everything's fine.
We're all fine here.
So that's a joy.
Excellent. And take 2 acumen for, I think, pulling out that poor devoured Elderbrun. Twigg, joy, despair, character arcs.
I don't know. I was thinking it was despair, and I think it's still despair. We're leaning towards despair. But then I was also thinking about it's not explicitly stated in Apostate, but one of the paths to joy is very much like fuck yo system. And there is something fundamental about the way Twigg has been engaging with their magic and as they're discovering what they are. Mm-hmm. What the collectively as well as individual pronouns, that is actively seeking to, like, it's fighting one's own inherent nature for the purpose of denying her irking authority is a fascinating concept, and I think that's a little bit of joy, and that may eventually become a joy. But I think we're overarching. I ate a horrible truth, and now it hurts me on the insides. So I think we're still doing not great. So I'm going to say despair. No arcs. I have not succeeded in I have not worked. Building a new home has not been going great for me. I've been stuck in the fucking Golden Sun. And finding hearts has not gone any better either. So I would say just a despair.
In that case, take 2 additional acumen for, I was going to say, I think I'm trying to think in the combat what was the most, I think honestly just helping and kind of like, I think throwing the hour is running thin to Kiri and trying to assist her. I think take 2 acumen for that. Finally, Kiri, character arcs, joy, despair.
Yeah, despair. Your spell is rebelling against me and invading my dreams, and my magic is not working reliably, and something crackled out of me that I don't understand and have never experienced before. And one person who did seem to know something about it is a not great person who is also now gone and can't give me that answer. So Kiri is not doing great in the mental space. I think physically she's fine. But yeah, I think in addition to the despair she earned this session, she gets the additional despair on top of that, because order is how she understands the world. Like, there are rules and it obeys sort of logical principles. And now all of these principles seem to be kind of falling apart, and sort of what is left in the middle of that, if magic isn't behaving logically and the world isn't behaving logically around her, like, where does she find herself in all of that? So I think Kiri's really just sort of feeling destabilized. And, I think, like, it's interesting when Twigg was sort of like, I tried to do something good, Kiri sort of tried to do something good in return by saying, hey, I'm a librarian, I understand what to do with dangerous knowledge. And then to sort of be rebuffed by Twigg, like, that also contributes, I think, to that instability, where it's like, what, if my magic is going away, if I can't do anything, if my skills are not going to be useful, what good am I? And I think that's kind of barreling toward a character arc. I don't think we've quite hit it yet, but I think maybe next session we will, about sort of understanding more about who Kiri is and that sort of crisis of identity that she feels.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. So take your despair, and take 2 acumen also for not only severing that siphon, but trying to successfully occupying Marlowe. Let's put it that way. Okay. So guys, let's go ahead and do shout outs and plugs. Marcy, start back up with you.
Hello. Since I don't know at what point in the future this is being aired, I'll just do my standard bit of, hey, we've got a lot of shows on this channel. You should check them out. They're all really cool. And you could catch up on Hole in the World on our YouTube channel. We pretty much have every episode available there, and probably ones I don't even know about yet. And we also have Streets of Gotham. By the time this is airing, Season 3 might be happening at that point in time on the channel on Mondays. And we also have, of course, Flights of Fandom. That's on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, there could be other shows I don't even know about that are happening. But you should just, I hope you're all watching the channel and enjoying what we do, and continue to check us out.
Awesome. Bill, shout outs and plugs.
I'd like to plug Hopper's channel, the _legend_tree on Twitch. Go give it a follow. Hopper has been running a 5e game that was a home game that we now graduated to a stream of evil characters that are about to die. Do check that out. And also some other more regular streams that are coming on Thursdays and possibly Saturdays. Just this Thursday, there was a great game of Detail with 2 of the players in Hopper's campaign building out their world of Jashara. So do check that out. And maybe Zach and I will get back on and we'll play some Gloomhaven too.
Oh yeah, cannot
Please.
wait.
I need more Goofus in my life.
Goofus. Hopper, shout outs and plugs.
Well, Bill sniped my normal, really aggressive self-promotion. So I'm going to shout out Party of One podcast. I've been back listening to old episodes because I've been sad and it makes me feel happy. And Jeff Stormer is an amazing GM and a really cool person and a lovely human being that you can often see on this channel, in fact. But Party One, really rad. So many awards, just stacks of awards that is so thoroughly deserves. And I literally am actively listening to the episode that Bill was a guest on, so get fucked, Bill. I don't know why my affection is a competition, but hi, I'm healthy.
I'm used to it.
It's like a pat on the back. I'm helping you, but I'm hitting you.
yeah. It's a bite to show love. Other than that, there's a ton of awesome shit out there, and we make a lot of that awesome shit. So and be nice to each other. It's not that complicated. It's not hard. It's really not that hard, y'all.
Marissa, if you would also like to give your own shout outs and plugs.
I think we've covered a lot of them. Definitely keep your eyes on the channel for whenever this airs, what may be going on, things that we can't have dreamed about yet. But I'm also going to plug, it may have very well have ended by the time this airs, but you can still check out the results. Friend of the channel, Chloe Sobel, is running a hack or a hackathon game jam for Good Society, where you are encouraged to, if you've ever had a crazy dream about what you could do with a, Regency 19th century TTRPG, and frame it for a different IP, a different historical era, anything like that, go make it and participate in Chloe's game jam. Or at least go see what people have done, because some of the coolest hacks, some of which we've actually debuted on the channel and may debut on the channel in time to come out of those sorts of things and are born in the kind of space of, you have a set amount of time to make this, go do it. So yeah, go check out what came about as a result of Chloe's jam, and maybe participate next time, because they're super fun and it's a nice way to push yourself to, make a game.
Awesome. For my own shout outs and plugs, I am going to say that you should definitely be checking out Encounter Party if they haven't already debuted on the D&D channel, which might actually be a TV show or a stream. You should check those out because they are awesome, and their campaign was fantastic, and I loved listening to it, which, again, check out their podcast. I'm also going to shout out Angel Citadel, who, by this recording, has recently concluded their Souls Direction campaign, their own Invisible Sun campaign that they used to air opposite on different Sundays of Us. And finally, I will echo exactly what Hopper said, which is be excellent to each other. It's really not that hard. In fact, you might find yourself feeling pretty good about it when you do it. But as per usual, we ask that you guys be kind to each other, be kind to the ones you love, check on them, be well, and may the invisible sun shine on you all. And we will see you for the conclusion of part 2. Good night.